What's up, everyone? Alex Boylan here, co-founder of Dream Jobbing, and I am super excited to be here with the man, Matt Steele. He is the general manager here. We're on his property at Justin Vineyards and Winery, which is a very accomplished and award-winning wine. And Matt himself is an award-winning winemaker, so I'm like, we got to do 5 questions with him and figure out how he got on his path to his dream career. So thanks for taking some time.
Oh, no worries, Alex.
Yeah, pretty
Good to
cool.
be chatting with you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, so obvious first question is, at what point did you say to yourself, like, I love wine, I want to get into this business and I want to make a career out of that? What did that look like?
It was a bit of a journey. Wine for me was always part of the table. I was really lucky. My parents always drank wine. Wine was something that we had at home, and believe it or not, as young kids we were encouraged to have a taste and sort of explore flavors and stuff like that. Now, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And I've got to say, I'm not smart enough to be a lawyer, and it was actually a really good thing because I went to university in Australia and I was on the path to try and do law and absolutely hated it. So I dropped out. And I dropped out of university with my tail between my legs. I was a failure and you know, the pathway was lost. But I went to work at our family-owned wine shop. And Dad put me to work straight away. We had a pretty strong work ethic there. And one of the things he wanted me to do was take control of buying wine. And I knew nothing about it. I knew I could drink the stuff. So I got taken to a winery on a cold winter's day. Now it's winter here, but it was a freezing cold winter's day. And this winery, the patriarch of the winery, a guy called John Brown, he spent a day with this young punk 19-year-old and invested this time in me. And we walked around his winery and everyone stopped and said hello. Everyone was interested in me. And everyone walked at a really slow pace. It was like, oh, now I'm with my people. And the one thing that really happened, that this was like, I now know what I want to do. We walked up to a barrel hall and it had these great big heavy steel doors, and John sort of, you know, prized them open, and this warm, sweet smelling air flooded out. Now when I say warm, the air was, you know, it was freezing cold. It was literally like 32 degrees. And this air was probably 55 degrees, so it felt warm. But it was like, wow, you know, what is this? And it was a barrel area, a barrel hall. And we spent time tasting barrels and talking about wine. I was like, this is what I want to do. So it was a very clear moment for me that was like, okay, there's a pathway to do this, and I can actually make a career out of this.
It's so exciting when you hear that, especially for, you know, our younger audience that this series is for, when it's like, you never know where you're going to be, what scenario. It's like being curious and being open to different opportunities and experiences can just like one day be like, bam, that's what I want to do. Oh, it's really cool.
Yeah, and I was lucky, and I had mates who were far more accomplished. They were doing double degrees in law and economics and, you know, writing their own ticket. And they were jealous of me. And that was the bit that I couldn't work out at the time. And that's because I knew what I wanted to do. And that was a real privilege. So that really helped guide me. That one moment set in train a path that I'm still on.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great story.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different aspects of winemaking, right?
Yep.
What is the part of this job that you love the most in wine?
I think we're sort of standing in it. And that is, you know, we're out in the country. It's a beautiful day here, and what we do as winemakers is, and I hope this doesn't sound too flowery, but it's a mix of creativity, pragmatism, and, you know, I guess a bit of science. I really enjoyed science at school, and so the creativity is about using your senses, and it's, you know, obviously the obvious one is what you can taste, but it's also what you can smell, and it's also what you see, how you observe the plants behaving and the wines behaving as you're trying to make them. So it's using those senses to sort of shape something that gets to be shared with a whole bunch of people you'll never meet. But when you do get to share it with them, everyone has fun.
That's got to be one of the best parts, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We're here today just walking around, and it's just like, you get to be around people. You get to share something, and everyone around, who's not happy drinking wine?
I know. And you know, if they're not happy, have another glass. You'll be happy soon enough. So it's, you know, it's a great thing to do. So the creativity is a big part of it. Fundamentally, it's an outdoor-based pursuit. I could never see myself being an office jockey. God forbid, you know, I'd just drive everyone, my ADHD, you know, I'd be going around and hassling people and upsetting their desks and all that sort of stuff. So I get to go out, walk through vineyards. I normally have my dogs with me, take them, you know, wander around, taste fruit. And it's an agricultural pursuit that we take something that takes a year to grow And then we as winemakers, we spend another year or two making it and putting it into bottles. So we're adding value to that. And it's not just growing a grain crop and being out on the block and then you deliver it to a wheat silo. It's actually investing in something that takes a lot of time to make and then gets shared with a whole bunch of different people. So that's a really cool part of it. And then the science bit, that's just me being a bit of a nerd. There's a lot of biochemistry and chemistry and microbiology around how you make the wines, and you can choose to really get into that, or you can just sort of go by feel. And there's a lot of successful winemakers that choose either path.
Oh, that's
awesome. My path. That's what I like.
That's so awesome. Now, obviously, looking from the outside in, being like, okay, you're a winemaker. What a dream job. There's got to be some downsides. Like, what are some of the aspects, or at least some? I don't want to say downsides. What are some of the aspects that, like, younger people should especially know about? Be like, by the way, before you get into this business, you should definitely know this.
I'm really jaded by it. Everything's perfect. Downsides to wine. You get sick of drinking it, so you have to change to beer. That's tough. It's really tough.
How about maybe like during harvest season, because you guys are working around the clock, right? People might not realize this is not a 9-to-5 type of job.
Quite honestly, it is a matter of commitment. What we do has a very distinct season, and when it is time to pick the grapes, everything else stops. I mean, everything. I don't care whether it's your mate's 21st birthday and it's the first time you can go out and hit the bars. Sorry, you're going to be at the winery that day because the grapes are ready. So pretty much from the start of harvest to the end of harvest, which is normally about 2 to 3 months, you give up everything. You're working 7 days a week, you're at the winery 14 hours a day, and you're absolutely committed to it. Now, if you see that as a downside, winemaking is not going to be for you, because for winemakers, that's invigorating. That's where that's where it all happens.
You're on.
So, but externally, you've got to be prepared to commit to something like that. And give that up. And I can tell you that mates of mine who are great winemakers are also brilliant surfers, and it's a really hard thing to do because generally you get these lovely autumn swells coming in, and that's when they want to be out surfing, but they've got to be out making wine as well. So yeah, it can be tough.
Yeah, I hear you. We were talking about it too yesterday of like the similarities between that and production, and because in television it's the same thing. When you're on, you're right. There's everything else. So, question for you: you moved from Australia to America, and you're getting, as you've said, like, this is my dream job. I'm living my dream life. When you look at that transition, we've had a lot of young people like, oh, I'd love to be a photographer in Africa. What's the transition? What was it like for you to like move countries, right, and to come to a new country, start a new life? What was that experience like for you as you journeyed on your path to your dream job?
I've got to say, my dream job has taken a long time to develop, and my familiarity with America started as a 17-year-old. I lived in Buffalo for a year. That's Buffalo, New York. And so that was my first taste of American life. And then from about the year 2000, I'm an old bugger now, but from 2000 through to about 2009, I was here for about 4 weeks a year as an Australian winemaker, promoting and being in the market. So I got to see, I've been in 31 of the 50 states.
Wow.
I've got to see a lot of America, so I was really familiar with it. So for me personally, there wasn't a dislocation. It was just felt really natural coming here. The other thing about the wine industry is it is a global industry. So what we're doing here in Paso Robles, it's not the same, but it's really similar to what I was doing in Australia. So that didn't dislocate things.
And maybe that's pretty cool that it's a business that you could travel with.
Yes.
Right? And go to a lot of different countries.
And I didn't realize that at the time when I got into it, but when I did get into it, one of the first things that really opened my mind up to the possibilities of the world of wine was, as an Australian, our summer is the opposite of here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I could do an Australian harvest and then pack up all my stuff and move to the Northern Hemisphere and work somewhere. So I did that twice, and I chose to go to France and work 2 harvests in France and sort of chase the sun.
Wow,
and I don't know if you're doing this at the moment, it's the middle of winter and you're actually up at Tahoe on a ski lift and you're doing that, and then you go down to New Zealand and do it again. It's that sort of concept.
Oh, it's so cool. Really cool.
So that sort of opened the door to how I could do it, and coming here to California, it's just an exciting place to be, and not only for winemaking, but the culture here, and south to LA, up to San Francisco, out east to the Sierra. We just love it. It's magic.
Oh, it's awesome. 5th and final question, right? What would your advice be to a younger person out there interested maybe that this is the career path for them?
It's interesting. My my observation is no matter what you're doing, you absolutely have to love it. And you got to really sink yourself into it, immerse yourself into it. And I was lucky when I decided my pathway. I went to the University of Adelaide, and our class size, there was about 18 of us that graduated. And we would get together, about 50 started, so there was a lot of attrition. But we would get together, those of us that ended up graduating, and we would get together on a regular basis. Now, we're university students, so we couldn't afford much, but whatever bottle of wine we could afford, we would take it to a friend's place, put it in a sock so they didn't know what it was, and then pull the cork out and share this wine with everyone and ask questions about it and try and learn from that experience. We wanted to know everything. We were just sponges. So sometimes we'd be tasting a Riesling from Germany, and sometimes we'd be tasting a Pinot Noir from France. Most of the time it was a $10 bottle from the local bottle shop. Or what do you call them in Boston? Shoppies or Packies? Yes.
Packies in Boston.
Yes. So, but and we just immersed ourselves in every way we could. Whilst I was studying at university, I interned for free at a couple of wineries, and I got the worst jobs possible. I came in at the bottom of the totem pole, but I love them and I learned from them. Yeah. And so just be a sponge, really get soak yourself into it and get as much as you can, and be passionate about it. Like it's all or nothing. Really get into it.
And life's too short not to love what you do.
Well, that's it. Yeah. You spend a lot of time at work. So yeah.
Absolutely. 5 questions.
Thanks, mate.
Matt Steele, I really appreciate it, man. All right, guys, we'll check in with you soon. Cheers,
later.
everyone.